The Syrian Arab Army continues operations in Aleppo as civil repairs continue. And the Lebanese newspaper says that an area on the Syrian-Lebanese borders has become a headquarters for terrorists. More than 13 detainees die under torture in the jails of Al Saud, and more than 50 die at the hands of Al Khalifa in Bahrain. Good afternoon, this is News in English. Units of the Syrian Arab Army are continuing their qualitative operations in Aleppo and its countryside to get rid of the armed terrorist groups there, which have sustained heavy losses. Units of the Syrian Arab Army defeated groups of the terrorists in 2 places in the countryside. They also destroyed a vehicle supplied with a machine gun and killed dozens of terrorists entrenched in the industrial school in Al-Atarib. Another unit of our valiant armed forces destroyed a terrorist group in Al-Sukkari quarter. Another qualitative operations in the farms and orchards of led to the death of dozens of terrorists. The armed forces attacked another terrorist group at Al-Hawz square, killing and wounding most of its members. Units of our armed forces purged the area around Nasir Agha school in the quarter of Al-Sulaiman al-Halabi, killing a large number of terrorists.
In Aleppo, the governor Muhammad Wahid al-Aqad, accompanied by directors of the departments of services, carried out a tour in Al-Maidan in order to review the needs of the citizens and the traces of sabotage left by the terrorists in some quarters of the city. The governor asserted that the departments of the city were working in full capacity to reform and qualify services in various parts and to restore the electric power station. The governor pointed out that work would continue to reform the damages inflicted on public and private property and to pay compensations for the affected victims of the acts of sabotage. He expressed appreciation of the people's cooperation that enabled our armed forces to defeat the mercenary terrorists.
As for cleaning, the city's council is monitoring for 24 hours. Some streets have been cleaned and work is going on in others. We have one problem, that Al-Midan power station is off service. We are trying to use neighboring power station to provide electricity for the neighborhood. Water has no problem. All bakeries will be operating tomorrow morning. No shortage of any requirements will be there.
Yesterday, a real workshop was working to clean. We couldn't walk in the street before.
We stayed without electricity because of the terrorists. They harmed us a lot. The damned terrorists damaged our houses.
The governor and his companions also reviewed the damage inflicted on the Church of the Orthodox Armenians at the hands of the terrorists. The Bishop Shahan Sarkisian expressed appreciation of the efforts of the security forces to preserve stability. He hoped that peace and security would prevail throughout Syria.
And in Damascus countryside, in related context, units of the Syrian Arab Army continued to chase the remaining terrorists in the area of Sbeni in Damascus countryside, inflicting heavy casualties among them. And a unit of our armed forces carried out a qualitative operation in the village of Ain al-Arus in the area of Tal Abyad in the countryside of Al-Raqqa. It attacked the terrorists who were committing crimes of murder and sabotage. The terrorists sustained heavy losses. The Lebanese LDR newspaper affirmed that Arsal area on the Syrian-Lebanese borders has become a base for armed terrorist groups which carry out terrorist operations on the Syrian territories. The daily affirmed that members of the militia stationed near the borders amounted to 770 terrorists, stressing that they have bulldozers to dig warehouses for ammunition and bypass roads for smuggling weapons. The daily quoted military experts as saying that the attack which took place against the Lebanese army position followed by an attempt made by the militia to smuggle huge quantities of weapons into Syria. The Lebanese The cases of 17 persons from Bludan, Zabadani and Madaya in the Damascus countryside were settled. They were involved in recent events, but they shed no blood and surrendered their weapons to security forces. They were released after they pledged not to carry weapons or to take part in any acts of sabotage or any acts against Syria's security. Prime Minister Wael Halaqi stressed that the crisis in Syria is in its final stage, thanks to the Syrian people's unity and the great sacrifices being offered by the Syrian army in confrontation of the terrorism. He referred to the signs of international political shift towards a peaceful solution to the crisis in the country and the calls for dialogue and national reconciliation. During his meeting with chairmen and members of the Executive Bureau of the General Sports Federation, Al-Halaqi said that the Syrian economy is secure, and we have enough food, medicine and oil derivatives available in all Syrian government rates. For their part, the Federation chairman and members underlined that sportsmen will always be their homeland's ambassadors to the whole world. The Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Muhammad Yahya Mualla, asserted that the Higher Institute of Business Management was a pioneering experience contributing to the development of government institutions and supplying them with qualified personnel. During his tour of the examinations of the current academic year, he pointed out that the institute supplies both public and private sectors with distinguished qualifications. The institute also organized a course to qualify students to follow up their higher studies after graduation. The ministry listened to the views and remarks of students concerning the questions of the examination. The Dean of the Institute said the results of the examination would be set up on the electronic website of the Institute. Nearly 500 students took part in the automated examination in order to choose 165 students out of them. The regimes of Al Saud and Al Khalifa continue their repressive acts of murder. 13 detainees in Saudi prisons died under torture. In Al-Bahrain, the demonstrators were beaten up by the mercenaries of Al-Khalifa. More than 50 were killed during 5 months.
These repressive policies were confronted by popular determination to continue protests against the rulers in both countries. Al Saud and Al Khalifa have many detainees in dark dungeons. A prominent detainee is Sheikh Nimr, and Nimr continued his hunger strike, and his health has greatly deteriorated. The people of Al-Qatif continued their peaceful demonstrations calling for their rights. They described the Saudi regime as medieval. People of Bahrain also continued to suffer under the regime of Al-Khalifa. They are being faced with bullets and poisonous gas. Hundreds were wounded since last February. The people in both countries rose against the Wahhabi mentality, which continued its repressive acts and squandered the wealth of both countries in the service of Zionism and imperialism.
And with this, we come to the end of our news bulletin for today. For more information, visit our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. Stay with us. After the break, Vani has the latest in economy.
Good afternoon. The Minister of Economy and Foreign Trade approved adding the red copies of goods transported by sea to the instructions of the year 2004, which stipulates permitting the delivery of the copies of the import license to the people concerned after instances of losing the red copies while they were being sent from Aleppo's post offices to the concerned sectorates due to the current circumstances, in addition to accelerating the process of custom clearance. The Minister of Tourism, Engineer Hala Al Nasser, stressed on the importance of cooperation with everyone involved in the tourism sector in order to overcome difficulties and develop the sector. She pointed to the importance of training touristic guides in order to develop tourism marketing. During her meeting with some tourism and traveling agencies, she affirmed that the ministry is willing to cooperate with all agencies in order to develop this sector, which is considered as one of the most influenced sectors by the current crisis. On the other hand, the president of the Union Tourism Chambers highlighted the importance of reconsidering some regulations and the main obstacles that face the tourism agencies. The Ministry of Communication asserted that it is working on the legislations and laws pertaining the ministry and its affiliates in parallel with the issuance of the decree concerning regulating the communication on the network and controlling cyber digital crimes, according to the decree number 17 for the year 2012, stressing that it seeks issuing the Personal Data Protection Act in addition to the Intellectual Property Protection Act in collaboration with the Ministry of Culture. In the postal sector organizing field, the ministry, in collaboration with the UN Development Program UNDP, implemented the final draft of the postal sector's policy in Syria, in addition to the final draft for studying the market of this sector. The Director of the Investment and Real Estate Development Establishment, Engineer Ghayath Al-Qutaini, stressed that the integrated urban projects in Homs Governorate are being studied. The two projects would cost about 40 billion Syrian pounds with 2,000 units and 900,000 square meters for each project. The Director pointed out that both projects will provide thousands of jobs opportunities. The Syrian Association for Wildlife Protection held a workshop about bird hunting laws and regulations in Syria. The Minister of Environmental Affairs, Dr. Nazira Serki, stressed on the importance of taking care of the wildlife since it has a vital role in protecting plants and retaining biological balance. She pointed to the importance of cooperation between all the concerned sites. On the other hand, the Director of the Birds Project of the International Council for Protecting Wild Birds, Usama Al-Nouri, highlighted that the Council has already put many plans in this context in order to develop capabilities to protect birds. The farmers of Hama Governorate have delivered the crops of seed cotton that reached 19,000 tons to the scutchers in the governorate. The Director of FIDA Scutcher, Yasser Halabiya, estimated that it would receive more than 3,000 tons of cotton. On the other hand, the Scutcher of Raqqa Governorate continued delivering this season's crops of cotton that reached 23,000 tons. The Director of the Scutcher affirmed that all the marketed quantities are clean and good. Russia reached unprecedented record in oil production during August, overpassing Saudi Arabia after reaching 10,000,038 barrels a day. This increase in the Russian production rate is the highest worldwide, which is 0.4% compared to July's production, which was 10,000,034 barrels a day. Gold went down in the local markets as the Association of Goldsmiths in Damascus specified the price of the Rashadi golden coin at 27,600 Syrian pounds and the 21-carat English coin at 28,400 Syrian pounds, while the 22-carat English coin is at 29,900 Syrian pounds. The euro declined after the weak results of the German economy survey that led to increasing concern regarding the economy that is suffering the most in Europe due to the debt crisis. And with this, we conclude our news. Thank you for watching and goodbye.